Today, I'm going for a first run in the Hoka Carbon X2. 15.30 miles, 8 minutes flat per mile, and 154 beats per minute today. Going out for a first run in the Hoka One Carbon X2, the shoe that just narrowly missed breaking the world record for the 100K distance. Jim Walmsley coming so agonizingly close to breaking that world record today. For that event, the men attempting that record were shooting for just under 6 minutes per mile pace for 100 kilometers for over 60 miles, which is absolutely insane. But what is it like for a non-elite to run in this shoe? Before I give you my thoughts on that, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that was sent to me for the purpose of review by Hoka One. However, they're not paying me to make this video or to use the shoe, and they're not going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the Hoka One Carbon X2. Now what we have in this shoe is a 39 millimeter stack height shoe, so it's a pretty thick midsole. It's got a 5 millimeter drop, so you've got 34 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot. And this year they've got a reconfigured ProFly X. And so ProFly X isn't like a foam necessarily, it's more of a system. And what this system is up top in this lighter colored foam, you've got their CM EVA, which is a softer material. Then you've got the carbon fiber plate. And then on the bottom, you've got rubberized EVA beneath the carbon fiber plate, which serves kind of as an EVA foam, but kind of also as the outsole itself. There's no actual rubber on the outsole of this shoe. It's just running on a layer of that rubberized EVA. Up top, we have a single layer mesh, and on the tongue, we've got that cord mesh material, which I'm a big fan of. Provides just a little bit of padding, but is also really breathable and pretty much just stays out of the way. All this comes in at a total weight of 7.8 ounces. So to explain what it was like to run in the Carbon X2 today, I think it might be helpful to kind of compare it to the Carbon X version 1 in terms of especially the things that I didn't love about the Carbon X1. Overall, I think that the Carbon X2 fixes the 3 major problems I had with that shoe, and it does it really, really well. The first thing that's changed from version 1 to version 2 is that the EVA that's up top as part of this ProFly X kind of like sandwich is that the foam, this lighter colored foam, there's more of it and it's softer. I'm not sure if it's just that there's more of this lighter colored midsole foam, the CM EVA, because of the way that they've shifted the position of the carbon fiber plate, or if they've actually made that CM EVA softer. Either way, I do feel like there is an increased amount of softness to the EVA. Not so much that it's going to be a squishy shoe by any means. It's still going to be one of the stiffer foams that Hoka makes, but it is providing a little bit more absorption from the impact from the road, and I definitely appreciate that. It's a big improvement. The second change that they made from version 2 is that they've made the carbon fiber plate springier. Now, this carbon fiber plate, I believe it's the same type of carbon fiber plate as last year. It's that split design. So instead of kind of like the scoop that we see in most carbon fiber plates, this one has a split design where like there's a part that goes under the big toe and there's another part that goes underneath like the rest of the toes. It carries that design over from Carbon X version 1. But this year they've adjusted the location of that plate. It's a little bit further down, a little bit closer to the ground. And I don't know if it's just that shift in placement or if they've done something else to the rigidity of the carbon fiber plate. But this year I'm feeling a lot more spring than I felt last year. Last year in the version 1, I almost felt like it wasn't there. I mean, it was there, but it was so subtle. It was working in a very different way than what I'd come to expect when I think about a carbon fiber marathon or even longer distance racing shoe. This year, they're bringing some of that carbon fiber plate feeling in. They're borrowing some more of that feeling from like the Rocket X, for example, which had a fantastic carbon plate feel to it, and I'm really enjoying it. Now, by no means does this feel like a vaporfly. This isn't a vaporfly killer. That's not really what they're going for. The best way that I can explain the carbon fiber plate kind of feeling in this shoe now is, stick with me for a second. Imagine someone's throwing a shot put at you and you have to catch it. So I feel like when we're talking about vaporfly or similar types of carbon fiber plates, it's kind of the feeling where you're catching something really heavy and then having to throw it back. So like you hit the ground and then there's like a little bit of a time lag and then it pushes back and you get a really strong sense of that pushback feeling. With the Carbon X2, I feel like it's absorbing the impact from when you're hitting the ground and then kind of sliding you forward. So it's not as abrupt, it's not as like aggressive of a push from the carbon fiber, but it's definitely like shifting you along, sliding you along almost. And you feel that carbon fiber plate, but the predominant feeling that I'm feeling from the carbon fiber here is that it's absorbing a lot of that impact. Maybe that's also affecting why I feel like the EVA feels like it's softer, that carbon fiber is in there, but I can certainly feel it both at slower paces and at quicker paces as well. Today's workout was 15 miles total, but I basically had 1 mile off and 2 miles on at about marathon effort. So I got in a total of about 10 marathon miles today, giving me a good sense of kind of what this would feel like for me as I'm running in it. And at that level of effort, I really feel like it was very easy to get to the speed that I wanted to and stay locked in. I felt like the shoe was really working with me and helping me to stay right at that level of effort that I wanted to in a very pleasant way. Plus, the combination of the EVA and that carbon fiber plate, I felt like even after 15 miles, my feet didn't feel beat up at all. It just felt absolutely fantastic to be running in the shoe without having a squishy sensation, without having like a smush in there. It just felt like it was absorbing what I needed to have absorbed and then kind of shifting me, gliding me forward. So I really enjoyed that. Overall, I'm really liking like the dynamics of what's going on with this shoe. Now, the third thing that I think that they really improved from the version 1 is the fit of the upper. The fit of the upper on this Carbon X1 was really, really tight. It was a super snug shoe. Everything from the front in the toe box all the way to the back of the heel just felt like the shoe was like welded onto your foot. It took a really long time for me to get in the shoe and even longer to get out of the shoe because it was just such a snug fit. You're still getting a very snug fit in this shoe, so you're not getting a lot of ankle wobble. The foot cage is really well and secure. The upper material does a really great job of keeping your foot in the shoe and you're not sliding around. But this year they've managed to do all of that while giving a lot more space in the toe box. And so it's finally delivering what I've always kind of been looking for from Hoka, which is like that Hoka level of comfort, the wider toe box, the comfort underfoot, that rocker sensation, but they're doing it in a race package, which I didn't feel like the Carbon X or the Rocket X were really doing. Both of those shoes had extremely narrow toe boxes and were very, very tight to run in. This shoe, I felt like finally gave me the space that I would expect from a Hoka shoe while also giving me a race feel underfoot. The one thing that I will mention overall with the fit though, and I did go true to size on this and I think that's the right way to go, is that the shoe is really like big. From like this large like butt chin that's back here, even up towards the front, it feels like the shoe is a little bit longer than the Carbon X version 1 was. And so when you're like kind of like looking down at your feet, it seems like there's more shoe that's down there. It seems to be a trend that I saw in a lot of shoes last year, where even though it would be fitting you in the foot cage, in the toe box, in the heel, there's just a little bit of extra material up front, it seems. And that's certainly something that I've noticed here as well. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think that it's an error. I don't think that you need to resize because of it. I didn't feel like I was getting scrunched either in the sides of the toes or in the front of the toes, which is something that's been kind of plaguing me in a lot of the racers from last year in 2020. So very happy to see that there's a little bit more room in this shoe. It makes it much more comfortable to wear, especially for some of those longer distances. So all that being said, is this now the best carbon plated shoe that's on the market? I'd probably say no. I really enjoyed this Carbon X2, and I think it's probably the best carbon plated marathon shoe that Hoka has put out. I like it a little bit more than the Rocket X, and a lot of that has to do with the fit up here in the forefoot and just how it feels after that longer distance. The shoe that this most reminds me of is the New Balance Fuel Cell TC, which is not their racer, not the RC Elite, but the TC, which is kind of the training companion. Great for long training runs like I had today, where there's some marathon effort in there in a longer run, or even some threshold work in a longer run. I think this shoe would be great. If you have been running in and loving your Hoka shoes, then I think you should definitely consider the Carbon X2 for your next marathon race. And at $180, it certainly is something that you can feel confident to not only race in, but also put in a lot of training miles as well. So those are my thoughts on the Carbon X2 after just the first run. I'm looking forward very much to putting some threshold efforts into this and continuing to log some miles, because I do think that this can be quite a workhorse in your speed shoe rotation. If you have any questions about this shoe, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below, or better yet, feel free to stop by the live stream that I do just about every day right here on YouTube, 3 p.m. Central Time. I'd love to see you guys there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?